Alright folks, welcome back to the channel Techado. It's been like a week that I didn't make any episodes, and I have, over this past like week and a half, I was always thinking this, that how can I make an episode about Mythbusters or the queries that we have after this disease has progressed already around about like already 2 or 3 months, and going through the first wave, whatever we learned, and like these Mythbusters should be presented to you by like a lot of other people, but I do not know, I'm not seeing a lot of videos that I'm not seeing, that nobody is making a presentation so that you can better understand or bust some myth about the new coronavirus. So coming back to today's episode is going to be a myth buster, and I have written down all the points. Sorry, there is not a lot of animation in these videos. There's not a lot going on out here. It's going to be a picture representation of what I'm trying to say, just to make it a little bit more interesting. And if you have a little bit knowledge in science, so for example, if you know basic cell biology, you're going to understand this. Even if you do not know cell biology, you can skip the parts of and directly go to your question and answer section, which will be placed in the middle of these episodes. So bear with me, I'm going to try to make it as simple as it's possible. If I see that this video extends more than 30 minutes, I'm going to create two small 15 minutes episodes. Okay, I'm going to put right out here a screen recording of what I'm saying. The new coronavirus, or the novel coronavirus, which is this guy out here, you will see that this new virus actually has got this multiple projections on its surface. We already know this. These multiple projections are actually proteins, and these proteins there are actually four types of proteins, and that's where I've tried to show out here that in a cross sectional. So if I cut the like the whole a small part of that virus and we divide it into two separate halves, you'll see that you're going to see that outside these are layers of proteins. So hold on a second. So outside, these are the layers of proteins, and this is going to be M protein and S protein. E protein, which is an envelope protein. M protein is membrane protein. S protein is the most important one, so I'm going to put an asterisk out here, because this is like a S protein or the spike protein that actually you're going to understand in few like minutes or so. Why is it very important? And then there is another protein which is not that important to remember, but if you remember these three, it's going to be more than enough for just general understanding. And inside the envelope, in its core, is a protected layer of RNA. Now this is one of the biggest kind of genetic material, one of the biggest. It's not the biggest, but then one of the biggest genetic material present in any sort of virus. So it also shows you how much information this virus has, and it is not a new virus. It's a mutated form of the same family of coronaviruses, or beta coronaviruses. So it's nothing new. 1968 was the first contact on this. Now here are some mythbusters. You might be thinking, so thus what is the size of this? Well, the size is 0.125 micrometers. Now why is that important? Because that is going to be very important to understand whether mask or face covering. Well, mask, obviously yes, because mask will go cover anything that is around 0.07 micrometers. So yes, definitely mask is going to help. Face covering, I don't think so. Face covering actually helps. So try to get at least a surgical mask. Recommended mask, again, go ahead and watch episode, I think 3 or 4, but there is a mask episode. You will see what is the recommended mask that you need to wear. I'm not going to go through this. Now 0.125 micrometer, this also gives you another myth, and another myth buster is social distancing. Does social distancing help? Well, social distancing does not help and help at the same time. Why? Because there are two factors. That 6 feet, no. Probably more than 6 feet is yes. Now, from the very beginning of this introduction of this new sort of coronavirus in our society, not by like any conspiracy or anything, and it's basically was an outbreak. We knew that WHO was telling that this is a droplet infection, which means that a person coughs and sneezes, it drops to a surface, and that's how it was spreading, and it had a human-to-human transmission. But it is actually I would say it is actually a form of an aerosol infection, which means that it spreads via air. Yes, it will, since it's not that big of a, not as light as of other viruses are, it's going to descend, and it's obviously, due to gravity, it's going to come down. It's not a big deal. I mean, like in layman's term. But if there are a lot of factors like wind factors and everything, so which means that 0.125 micrometer size of a virus can actually spread much more longer than 6 feet. So 6 feet is a myth, more than 6 feet is ideal, but at least try to maintain 6 feet. That's what it is all about. A very, very important myth and myth buster is going to be indoor with air conditioner. Now, this you can answer yourself. You do not need an expert's opinion or anything, or anybody's opinion. What does an air conditioner does? An air conditioner actually heats takes the heat out of your room by cooling down the room, right? Now, all of these air conditioners are now equipped with HEPA filters and everything. HEPA filters do not protect you against viruses at all. So it's a total myth that if you think that a HEPA filter will take out the virus out of your house, out of your room or anything, that's a total total wrong conception. It is not going to do that. So yes, indoor air conditioners on, if you are coming in contact with a positive asymptomatic or asymptomatic patient, you are going to get exposed to the virus, because that virus will not go anywhere else. It will be getting circulated inside. But hence comes the second part of the thought, that what will you be, where will you be in a scenario like this? Not at your home, obviously, but public restaurants, because like 3 months, 4 months, everybody was sitting at home, and you can understand that how much people want to go outside, and it's totally understandable. um, and that's where like you have to take precautionary measures, that whenever you're going outside, you're carrying like Lysol or anything with you, that you're cleaning out your hands, trying to wear a mask. Masks are plenty, are available in plenty right now in a lot of other stores, so you can go in stores and buy. Now we are not running through a crisis of mask or anything, so PPE is a very, very important part of this whole coronavirus situation, and that is the reason PPE was pitched from very beginning. Then comes eye shield. Yeah, this is a very interesting fact, because I've been seeing that people are wearing eye shield outside or face shields outside. Folks, this is exactly what is not recommended. You should not wear face shields, plastic ones, outside. Especially in countries like California, especially in, sorry, countries like America, states like California, which is having a weather which is very hot. Also, like southern part of the states. Also, any part that is near to tropics or equator, because you have to remember that all these face shields that you're getting, they are supposed to be indoor. Now, plastic is a very important carcinogen, and basically with the exposure to UV rays, all you are breathing is going to harm you more than wearing a simple surgical mask. Try to stay away from plastic. And if you are in California, you already know what Prop 65 is. There is no hazard warnings going on right now, and I do not know why. You should not wear face shields outside at all, like period. If you want to wear face shields, make sure that those face shields have a UV film or UV lining on top, like like visors that you get like on helmets and everything that you can wear outside. Those will be fine, but that again, you actually put yourself into more harm if you wear a plastic face shield with no UV blocking films or anything, and that is going to harm you more. So from this, we are going to go to another part, or the another section, which I think should be interesting to you guys, because size and all that stuff, we already actually got 4 or 5 answers from that. But then the thing is that like from the very beginning, this was the thing that everybody was talking that, oh, it's affecting the respiratory system, which means that it's going to the lungs, and this virus actually, affects the lung route. Um, but if you watch carefully, and like in this part of the cross section, I've actually discussed three important entry route. One is your eyes, then there is nose, obviously, which is the respiratory one, through mouth to your stomach or GIT, and then to your large intestine and stuff like that. Well, eyes, because if you have touched a surface that was previously contaminated or anything, and you are rubbing your eyes, which a lot of people has the habit of, it can reach to your blood vessels. How it's going to reach your blood vessels? Well, from conjunctiva, there is something called sclera, and and then there is innervation of blood vessels at the back. So what happens is that basically you expose yourself to this virus just by rubbing your eyes. I mean, that is one of the routes. Nose and lungs, or the respiratory, is one of the biggest routes, like more discussed. And why? Because the presence of ACE2 in your lungs. Now, if you do not know what I'm talking about, again, head over to episode number 2, where I have discussed the mechanism of action and how this virus enters to your body and what does it do. So this is the most prevalent part of it. And then there is ACE2 cells. Basically targets all the ACE inhibitor, angiotensin converting enzyme to receptor cells, and due to that, there are some cells that are located in the large intestine also, so it can affect GIT. So mythbuster time is the route only respiratory? Nope. Can your nervous system get affected? Yes, your nervous system can get affected. It can cross the blood-brain barrier, and there might be gate problem with your gates. There might be problem with you might get meningitis like symptoms and everything. So yes, 100% there is a chance of your nervous system getting affected. Intestines means that, so this is the thing, like a lot of the time we might be thinking, we are discussing this, and we are going to discuss this in more details in our next kind of episode, is that symptomatic versus asymptomatic. What does it mean? Well, remember this, folks, when you are talking about a pandemic like this, you're talking about the whole world, right? So a lot of the countries, you the idea is this, that WHO showed us that it will be through your lungs. So everybody's talking about cough and sneeze. What about people, those who are having high fever and they are having diarrhea, but they do not have cough and sneeze? That person thinks that, oh, it's just a stomach upset, and I'll be okay and I'll be fine. And he's going through this fever. He's taking regular acetaminophen, which is over the counter, and he's cool with it. So symptoms is something very important, and we need to understand this, that apart from having fever, sore throat, or high temperature, cough, and you're sneezing, you're feeling weakness, there's a lot of weakness going on, there's muscle pain going on, you should also consider about, if you get signs of that you're having diarrhea or anything, or you have a stomach upset or anything, and you're having abdominal cramps or anything, you should consult your doctor too, because that helps. Because that route is pretty much prevalent. Droplet or aerosol? Well, folks, I do not understand why this is not getting told, that it is there's a 98% probability that this is an aerosol infection. We saw it in SARS-CoV-1. Basically, all the other viruses of this same virus family has more or less an aerosol kind of spread. So droplet, kind of, I mean, 2% chance this is a droplet, but 98% it's an aerosol. Now, what does aerosol means? Basically spreading via air. Fecal is a very good question. Can it be specks? Can it be, can it reach to contaminated food or not? Can it be, due to improper hygiene in your home or in your locality or in your community or not? Well, there's a very less chance of this being a fecal oral. So that actually shows you that because you saw that the amount of ACE2 cells on the in the abdominal region or in the large intestine is actually much more less. So that is the reason the fecal chance becomes very, very less. Can it cross the blood-brain barrier? Now you have to understand this, that I'm not going to explain the blood-brain barrier right now because it's going to be too confusing. Remember this, that it can cross blood-brain barrier, which means that it can affect your nervous system. Okay, now this is going to be attach and enter, and this is going to be a deeper understanding about how this virus infects, and why is it so hard to find a vaccination for this. And it is kind of next to impossible to find a vaccine, and even if we find a vaccine, that vaccine will last, its effectiveness will last for 6 months, which means that every 6 months that vaccine will be recommended to be replenished, or you have to retake the vaccine. um, to discuss this, we will be doing this in the next episode. So thank you for watching this episode, but do come back and join on the next episode. I'm going to try to make it today, but I'm going to post it later on if you want to check that, because I think that nobody watches 25 minutes of YouTube videos. So I'm going to put it into our next episode. So till then, take care, stay safe, wear proper PPEs, because there is a second wave that's coming in right now, and that second wave is going to affect a lot of population. So remember this, that you are taking those necessary steps that will be benefiting you and your family around you. So with that note, we are going to end this first episode of this chapter. We are going to begin the second episode next time. Goodbye.